All right, I think we're here. We got some rivets. Rivet. Okay. I'm not sure what that's about, but we'll go with it. Um, Arizona, King Oceans, glad you're here. Robert, glad you're here. GM guy, I saw your comment early on the video on the setup that I had on the live stream. I know I had. Hey Jack, I know I had set it up. All right, good. Got Nick, LD, Amco84. Hello, hello, hello. Um, when I first staged the live stream, let everybody know that it's going to be coming. I forgot to put a scheduled time on it for 7 o'clock. And hey, Heath. So it may have been implied that it was going to start at that time, and I had to go back and change that. Sorry about that, but I'm sure you all figured it out. And then I set it up for 6. I was thinking maybe I'll do it at 6, but hey, King's Disaster Garage, um, Rick, glad you're here. Ottawa, Canada, chill accent, sweet. Um, but I thought about doing it at 6, and then I realized I had a project that I was working on, and timing wasn't working out, so I pushed it back to where 7. Uh, Jack, I'm not going to answer that wood question yet. If you haven't looked at it, I posted a picture on the um, Joe Daddy's workshop page, and it was on the community tab. And I posted a picture of some cut wood, and I posed a question that, what kind of wood is this? And you got one guess. And hey, Leonard. So I think Jack had guessed, and believe Leonard had guessed as well, and both were wrong. So there's still a chance. If you haven't gone and seen that, go check out the picture I posted. It's a unique wood, and it looks pretty cool. But anyway, just something to throw a little trivia question out there on the channel. Hey, Rick. We are. Hope everybody's doing well during this craziness. Um, let's see. Robert spent part of the day rewiring my 4-foot lights to LED so I can film after I get home tomorrow. That's good. Yeah, it's been a crazy week or so. Um, I made the topic of this just stay home, and that's the push right now, and that's unfortunate that yeah, quarantining in our garages. It's unfortunate that it's come to that. We look at the things going on in the world. Um, China and Italy and all these places that are getting hit, and here in the states we're reacting, and it's a little scary, somewhat because um, no, Jack, no, it's not ironwood, Leonard. Um, no, Jack, I'm not going to turn on a lathe. I actually had somebody else. I think I had that piece turned already. That picture was from a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, but I just thought it was an interesting picture. Um, yeah, there you go. LD staying in means more time in isolation. What am I, 67? Yeah, it's a great time to get garage work done, right, Nick? Hey, RJ. Norway. Cool. Glad you're here from Norway. That's a good one. But it's hitting everybody. There is no hiding from it. As far as I'm not saying getting sick, but the repercussions of the sickness coming through. And we hear all kinds of different things. Um, they tell us that it affects people that are older, that it affects, certain age brackets or whatever, are more prone to have problems. And, Italy has gone to the point where sounds like they're not treating people over 80 now. They're like, sorry, we're not wasting our resources. So that's pretty scary. I mean, we have a lot of people we know. Hey, Mike, um, we all have relatives or friends who are in the upper age bracket, like that. And hopefully this gets under control before it gets far worse. But we all know that some of this stuff has to run its course too. So just my opinions on this. I have coffee tonight, and I know that there's the airlines, they're doing major cutbacks. I mean, major cutbacks, because without people getting on the planes, it's not going to help. It's just getting worse and worse. Yes, Leonard, it is. Hey, Terry, glad you're here from Illinois. Uh, Robert, I don't see the pick and community tab, but from other guesses, it's Coca-Cola. Yeah, it's not on my Joe Daddy's Garage page. It's on the Joe Daddy's Workshop page. So that's where that's at. GM guy, all bars and restaurants ordered closed, but to go orders starts tomorrow for, I think, minimum 2 weeks here in Washington. Yeah, I mean, it's, and then you got people, we all seen on the news, going crazy buying toilet paper. What's up with that? I don't see how you're going to defend yourself with toilet paper, or these guys that bought up 17,000 bottles of hand sanitizer and whatnot, and they were trying to sell it on Amazon and got burnt. Selling a $1 bottle of hand sanitizer for $70 on Amazon. I'm glad they got burnt. That's just wrong. I mean, that's just wrong. Yeah, Leonard, I saw that Vegas is shutting down, and I think they said till like May, I believe, is what Vegas was saying. Yeah, Nick, people are getting more serious, and it's it's crazy. Close the parks and playgrounds. Yeah. Well, everything in our area is, the stores are still open. Our grocery stores are still open. There are restaurants now who are defaulting to doing delivery. They've announced that now they're going to start doing deliveries, and it's going to change part of the industry. I mean, there's people who didn't do home deliveries before, and now we're going to see it as an option that they have to live with. Robert, it's not walnut. Good guess, though. Let's see. Mr. Tilley, wife and I are in Savannah, Georgia. This will take a week to go home to Canada, and we'll have to self-quarantine when we get there. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, then you have people who they're told they've canceled school all over the place, and then these people are just taking their kids shopping, going different places with their kids, and it's like that's not how the system works. If you're gonna try to isolate people, you don't go to the movies, you don't go to the mall. You don't. It's not a vacation time. It's self-preservation in a sense. I mean, I'm just saying. Let's see. Ahmad Lescargot. Hello. France. Okay. Hey, France. Ahmad. Okay, interesting. Hello, Barry. Here, France, we can move till midday. After that, everybody at home. If you don't respect that, 38, I guess, pound ticket. I'm not sure what the 38 is. All that for the next 2 weeks. Yeah. Yeah. I've read that too. They're locking people up. I think there was somebody I saw. I thought it was in France, somewhere where they were sunbathing, and the police came by and picked her up. Said, "Nope, you're not allowed to be out. Sorry, you're arrested." It's crazy in some places. Let's see. LD, I'm a Ford transmission tech in Chattanooga, and we slowed down a lot. I can't get parts to fix cars. Yeah, it's a snowball effect. You think it's a, I don't know. You look at it from try to look at it from all those different standpoints of how it affects this, affects that, and this affects that, and it just grows and grows and grows. Yeah, there's even talk about limiting travel. That's right, Leonard. Euro, okay. So I guess I don't know if it's 38. I guess 38 euro from Ahmad. And thank you for sharing that, Ahmad. That's good to know. RJ, seems like people need toilet paper more than food. I think some will get surprised when you have no food and a bunch of toilet paper. Yeah, yeah. It's really crazy. I've seen plenty of pictures of people. I've seen videos of people fighting over paper towels. What? There's this thing where you could just wash your hands and dry your hands on a towel. You don't have to use a paper towel for all kinds of, whatever. Robert Wade, good day, Barry. Same story here in Australia. Our government is slowly getting up to speed with this situation. Yeah. It's just me. I will trade you toilet paper for a can of tuna fish. Sounds like the Popeye cartoons. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Um, it was funny. I went to our local store today that we frequent, Kroger, as I've said before, and I really wasn't there to stockpile on stuff. It was just a random, normal little pickup stuff. So, we go through a good bit of eggs. I eat a lot of eggs. And so I went and bought some cartons of eggs. And my wife said, grab some hamburger, if there's some there. And I found some hamburger. And then I walked by um, the what would be the hot dog section. And I'll just show you this because I was like, okay. I took some pictures. And this, as well, I've seen, here's the hot dog section. Nothing. I mean, a couple little things, but really nothing. And then right across from that was a whole bunch of veggie burgers. So it's not that desperate yet. People aren't stockpiling veggie burgers. They're stockpiling hot dogs. So when they start taking away the veggie burgers, we know people are getting desperate. But I thought that was funny. Yeah, let's see. Robert Adams' better half was bidding for her schedule for next month, and there isn't much to choose from. A flight attendant. Yep. Yeah, I'm sure. Barry, I saw Amazon crack down on the dirtbags who were buying up everything and not price gouging it online. Yeah, and they've been on the news. Those two brothers, because they drove around like 3 states a month ago or so, and bought out everything at all the dollar stores, everywhere they could get to, and then started selling it online. And were just ripping people off. And I'm glad Amazon, caught up with them. And from the last video I saw, they were being forced to hand the stuff out for free or something, probably to escape getting some sort of a arrest warrant or something. Robert, she's on vacation this month, and we were planning to go to Cleveland next week. Well, might be a good time, but I don't know if it's ever really a good time to go to Cleveland. Just my opinion. Terry Baptist, Peterson Restoration's channel is building a 65 Mustang Fastback. Yeah, I've seen them. I follow him on Instagram, and he's doing it. I know what he's doing, and he's using it as a selling point for his business, and that's cool. I got no problem with that, but I did see that. LD, I know it's a change of subject. Mustangs Unlimited closed for good. Here's a place close to North Georgia. Oh, I'm guessing where's a place close to North Georgia, Chattanooga area? I don't know. Somebody else might have to answer that. I don't have an answer for that. Rick, there's brothers from my area. Well, go give them a good clock them in the head for me. Hey, Andrew's here. Grease Rookie showed up. Glad you're here. I'm gonna assume you're working on the car tonight. That'd be my guess. Rick Middleton. Hey Barry, don't knock Ohio. I'm from Cincinnati. Well, okay. Look, I grew up in Pennsylvania. So I grew up in blue-collar Pennsylvania, so that tells you I'm a Steelers fan. It should tell you I'm a Steelers fan. So obviously, when you look at Steelers and Bengals and Browns, we're just going to have to let that one ride. But, that's how it is. Let's see. Who needs Purell when you can use Brake Clean? Is it LPE wood? Nope. I don't know what LPE wood is, but I'm going to say no. But that's not it. Heath, I work in Boston. Crazy. Yeah. It's crazy all over. There's a guy selling toilet paper in Bakersfield, California for $100 a roll and sold one. I hope that's all he sells. I don't know, but see what I don't understand. What is the deal with toilet paper? What triggers that? And really ultimately, you look at their panic buying toilet paper, paper towels, hand sanitizer, soaps, whatever. Tim, nope, not Eastern Redbud. So here they are buying all this stuff up. Um, thanks, Rick. But they're buying all this stuff up. Now, here's my thought. If, and I know this is a real issue, this is a real issue, but if this was a real issue, it would be pandemonium. If we had some sort of thing like the Black Plague coming through or whatever, it would be utter chaos. This shows you that people cannot think in a rational sense whenever they get triggered by something like this. I mean, you know, Francisco Ramos, thank you. Appreciate that. You know what? Francisco, you're going to get the first bell tonight. Whoops, wait a minute. What's wrong with my bell? There we go. I'm sure Francisco is, that sounds like a not in the U.S., so you can follow up with that. Let's see. I got to fix something here. Hang on a minute. I got some other issues going on. Let's see if I can fix this. Well, there we go. Okay. All right, I fixed it. Let's see. Robert Adams, I had a hot dog for lunch at Sam's on Friday. It was interesting to watch the lemmings and what they bought. I grabbed 2 gallons of milk and burger buns, paid on my phone, and walked out the door. Yeah. Oh, Francisco, Buffalo, New York. Oh, I was going to guess somewhere else, but I'm glad you're here anyway. Mexico. That's a new one. Jose. Hola, my friend. Glad you're here. Let's see. I missed it. It was up there somewhere, Rick. No, somebody, Jab03. For $100, I'd rather use a sock to wipe it. Yeah. Ipe. Dave Conville. I think he meant Epe. There you, well, maybe so. Epe wood. Brazilian pronounced. No, not Epe wood. What's the best brand for a rear quarter on a 67 Mustang coupe? Well, you know, I can tell you that it's gonna vary. I mean, the fingers always point to Dynacorn as saying the best panel, and it's probably going to be your best choice. But there are other panels out there, and I can't point to one brand because when you look at the brand names, you see Dynacorn. You don't see like Bubba's quarter panel on the on the part number, but you recognize Dynacorn's name. Now I've said it before. I pulled out on Brooklyn Pony and various cars. I pulled a Dynacorn panel out of the box, and it was identical to brand X, whatever that is. So keep that in mind. The key is when you look at the panel, if you see pictures of it, look at the lines, look at where it transitions underneath on the quarter, where it meets the drop down panel, and see if it mimics the original design. That's really all I can say. And typically you get what you pay for, you know. So if you see a panel that's $20, I'd probably avoid it. $100, probably more in the range or whatever it is. So just saying. But that's pretty typical of what you have out there. Terry, the Doomsday Preppers are more prepared than anybody. That's true. That is true. LD, 6 months from now, toilet paper prices will be reasonable since a lot of people have enough for the next year or two. Yeah. Yeah. It's really, and the other thing is they're buying up water. Now, I will say we have, by default, we have a couple of cats. Not my choice. And one of the cats has some sort of urinary problem, blah, blah, blah. So we have to, because we have a well, we have hard water, and that causes problems for the cat. So you end up having to spend a lot of money to get the cat working again. To alleviate that problem, we buy distilled water for the cats. It's not that, it's only like 78 cents a gallon. But when I went to the store the other day, all that water was gone. You know, people were just snatching up everything and hauling it off. Like like they were going to lose power or something. I don't know, so that's another thing I had to, uh, you know, deal with. Uh, let's see. Fe checking in from Tallahassee. Glad you're here. Rick Middleton, Barry, have you seen where B is for Bill is doing an Eleanor conversion on a late model Mustang? I've seen some of his videos of what he's doing, and I know he's chopping up a flood car. I think he's chopping up a flood car and going to reskin it with a 67. Looks interesting. I did. I left a message on his page. I said it would be kind of cool to stop by and do a little video with him, but haven't responded back. So never know. Terry, Barry, I could get by without poop paper, but coffee, no way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big. Wow. Okay. We got Big A and Daddy's Adventures. Okay, that's it. That's a different name. Hello, Barry. Love the channel. I've got a 65 Mustang that I've been taking apart. I've been watching your Mustang videos and they're very informative. Thank you for all the info. Thank you for being here. I'll give you a bell for that. All right. Let's see. Hey, Effie, what's the weather in Tallahassee? Okay, that's a sidebar. Kane's Garage. People thought the trade lines would be closed. I believe all those products came from China. The fear was America would run out. These fear were unfounded. Usually individuals are intelligent. Yeah, I agree. Rick Middleton Barry is speaking the truth. I learned my lesson after buying cheap panels for my 65 Mustang. It may cost more, but it will cost less in the end with time and frustration. Yes, very true. Rick, get a bell for that. Yeah, it's Monday night. Hey, Gary, glad you're here. Dave, our cat's also on the distilled water program. No issue since the switch. Yeah, we learned the hard way that cats sometimes have problems like that. Yeah, our cat had problems, and my wife had to take it to the vet, and that was a very expensive fix to get the cat working again. So we'll avoid that at all costs. Terry, just be glad you have to put you. Just be glad. I'm guessing. Okay. Just be glad you have to put together a hurricane survival kit. I'm guessing that's more of a statement. Just be glad you don't have to put together a hurricane survival kit. I'm assuming that's what the wording was. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's at least that's something that if you know a hurricane's coming, and you live in an area that you have hurricanes, yeah, be prepared for that. What's weird about this one, of course, is it's just traveling all over. This pandemic is traveling all over the place rapidly, and it's just not something you can easily prepare for, like we're saying. But again, the big time deal, these preppers that do all this stuff, they're really doing it. So let's see. Leonard Walters checking in from Colorado mountains. I hope it is not as crazy there as it is here. Yeah, but at least you have some stuff you can smoke to relax. Can't do that here. Let's see. Mason, hey Joe Daddies, I got your sticker in the mail today. Cool. Glad to hear that. How much are your hats? Well, the hats, I only have the black ones, and they are $26, and that is shipped anywhere in the continental U.S. In fact, I have one guy from, I forget, I know he'll probably might be on here tonight. Tom Paget. I remember these weird things. Tom Paget, I believe his name. He is requesting a hat to France. So I have not addressed that yet to figure out what the cost would be. So I need to figure it out for Tom. Let's see. Jab, what is your favorite year Mustang? Well, I think ultimately it's a 69 Mach 1. My dad had a 69 Mach 1. I've talked about it before. It was Acapulco Blue, 351 Windsor, 4-speed. Typical, a lot of times in my mind, when you say 69 Mach 1, that's kind of the default car. I think that was the most popular color, combination and all that stuff. and I'm going to say that would be my favorite Mustang, you know. So, but I would be happy with a 70, you know. I would probably build it my own way. Um, anyway, uh, 3X Xena, wondering how long there will be a market for these Mustang parts. Some of these parts houses closing prompted me to get moving on my project. Well, you know, it's not going to die. I don't see that happening. It's going to slow down, you know, because production in China, unfortunately, is our only resource. And I think once things, it might take 6 months to a year until all of this stuff really dies away. Honestly, in my opinion, you know. So if you have parts, get them, or you need parts, probably ought to get them now while they're still on the shelf. Um, Rick, the Asbury, the car was a flood car. He ripped the entire body off, leaving the inner structure for the rear quarter panels. I must admit he had more success so far than I would imagine he would. Yeah, I haven't seen anything past. I think I just saw the thumbnail for the destruction of that car. I didn't actually watch it. Um, so I probably need to look at that more and see what's going on. Gustavo, ooh, that's a different name. Gustavo Uribe. Uribe? You can tell me if I'm right or not. Uribe, I'm guessing. Do you use fiberglass filler for your welds? Not necessarily. It depends on where the welds are. You know, like I might put fiberglass where the roof and a quarter meet. You know, the factory would have been leaded. I'll probably, you know, prep that and build that with fiberglass stranded filler, and then go over everything with my regular filler, Rage Ultra. Um, Leonard doesn't agree with me. Let's see. Oh, I get it. Okay. Um, yep, 69 Mach 1. Joe Otter, I had a 69 Mach 1 with 428. Oh, probably regret selling that one, I'm going to guess. LD, I noticed Dynacor stopped making some parts. Well, they may not have stopped making them. They just may not be available to get. So I don't know what they may have stopped. You know, if you've listed some, if you know what those parts are, it'd be nice. But I don't know for sure. Um, let's see. Terry Batts, I would say many favorite cars to name that I really like. I would agree with that, Terry. You know, I've said it before. You know, he asked me specifically what was my favorite Mustang, so I answered that question. But I've said it many times. You know, I grew up in a junkyard, so I've been around so many makes and models and cars and cars and cars over the years. And you know, I used to love every single car that was in there. Honestly, it didn't matter if it was a two-door or a four-door or whatever. I just had an affection for those cars because they were part of my life every single day. Um, and there's a variety that I just, you know, would love to have or love to just to have. I don't even know if I have to drive it. Just have it is, you know, the satisfaction I would get. But yeah, there's plenty of those cars out there. Hey, Danny, thanks for the thumbs up, man. Appreciate it. Um, let's see. Oh, coming through. Small resto parts places are closing, and the big ones are getting bigger. Big box resto part stores. Okay. Yeah, that is probably going to be an unfortunate thing that those little guys get pressed out. Leonard, what's the best way to weld HSS on the replacement body panels? You know, that's a good question. I'm assuming you're saying high strength steel, and I'm assuming that's what you're asking. HSS. Um, if you're talking about, that's a tough question to answer because typically, I mean, I use a MIG for everything, and I don't know that there's any real difference between a high strength steel or regular steel as far as welding it. Somebody else may have a better answer for that than I do. So if somebody can answer that question, let it in there, or put it in there. LD, I can't find the correct 67 Mustang battery apron that has pre-drilled holes and correct dimple at the top, and you probably won't. You know, I covered some of that, I think, when I did the 68. When I did Jade, if you go back to the Jade videos, I put in that apron on the right front, and I was frustrated because it was a what's the name of that company? Starts with an S. But anyway, they make these panels that are just rough cuts. I mean, they're literally trimmed out with a plasma cutter after they stamp them, and I had to put in all the extra holes and reshape it, and it was uh, oh, what's the name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, it'll come to me. But erg. So they do that, but there's like you don't have any other resource. You know, I've tried different ones. I'd gone to Mustangs Unlimited and try to get different panels, and they only had that particular one. Now, if somebody else again knows of a panel that may be good, Spectrum, got it. Spectrum, I get a bell. Um, but I think I don't know if Dynacorn sells those panels or not. And you know, when I put the panels on the Brooklyn Pony, I used the one-piece Dynacorn panel, and that was pretty good. Those are actually pretty well made, if I remember correctly. So you may want to look at something like that if you have to, is get the one piece and then cut it off. You know, if it has the correct shape to it. So think about that. Let's see. Yep, Gary, thanks for the thumbs up. Appreciate it. Let's see. What's Rick Middleton and Joe Water currently have a 69 Mach 1 with 390 4-speed. It's red with the black stripes. Yep. Let's see. RJ, I'm considering to build a Beetle. Have you ever worked on them? Yeah, a little bit, just a little. If there's some videos I have on here where I rebuilt an original. I say original, 68 or 9 VW dune buggy. It was a El Lobo, Balboa was the name of the company, and El Lobo, I think, was the name of the model. That's the only real experience I've had on messing with it, you know. And I took the body off and shortened the chassis and mounted up the dune buggy body. So that's the only real VW work that I've messed with. But for the most part, they're not that bad, you know, as far as replacing the pans and stuff like that. It's pretty simple. It gets a little more complicated if you start getting into more structural problems. Terry, do you still have the basket case Camaro? Yeah, I do. It's sitting outside under a tarp. Unfortunately, that's just where it's at. Not much I can do right now, so trying to get the Mustangs taken care of, and Camaro's gonna have to come later. So, Robert, RJ did a redo of 68 Baja Bug and was not my thing. Well, there you go. Rick Middleton, Barry, would you ever consider doing an Eleanor build? I can't say that I would. I mean, I understand there's a group that likes those, and I mean they're okay, but it's just not my thing. I think there's a lot of extra work involved with making it look a certain way, and I'd rather do like a California Special or a Shelby something, you know, than to have the Eleanor package. Just really not my thing. Yep. Spectra. I got a couple came back with Spectra. There you go. But I already answered it. But I'll give you the bell for L, and Robert, you get a bell because you got it right. So anyway, Heath started practicing welding for the first time today. Good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. GM guy, it's a pain to buy and sell parts as a small guy. A lot of companies want large orders. Initially, yeah, $1,000 to $5,000. You're right. Yeah, and I looked into that. At one point, I had considered doing a Dynacorn distributor thing, but it's gonna be too tough for me. I could do it. I mean, I know I could buy the parts and start the ball rolling, but I feel like it'd be a lot of work for me to just try to keep up with. And even though I know like Ron Wolf is a guy he's a distributor, but he also has a full-time shop building stuff. So it's probably easier for him. I think he has employees and stuff that helps out. You know, I'm by myself, and it would be probably difficult for me to take care of all that while I'm trying to film and edit and blah 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 blah. So, Let's see. Mustangs Limited went out of business. What a shame. I agree. Hey, Rain Man. Glad you're here. Thanks for the thumbs up. Donald, how you doing? I got a thanks from Robert. I'm not sure. I don't remember what. Maybe I answered the question. Sorry. As he's come past, I just kind of try to catch what I can. Um, Terry, do you like Alex Rebuilds channel? Have not seen Alex Rebuilds channel, so I don't know. I have to check it out, I guess. Robert Adams, I like parts of the Eleanor, but not all on the same car. Just too busy. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's I don't know. It's since that movie, and I will say that I'm not a fan of the Nicolas Cage movie. Not a fan at no at all. Not a fan. It's cool. They had some cool cars in there and stuff like that, but the original movie is to me so much better. Now the original movie is a lot cheesier. I know. Here I am talking about Nicolas Cage, and I'm saying cheesy, but the first movie may be cheesy, but it's really cool what they did with a budget of like I don't know $12 or something. So I prefer the original movie 100 times over than the Nicolas Cage thing. So um, yeah, it is in the Gone in 60 Seconds, but in the second, Gone in 60 Seconds, the original Eleanor was a 73 Mach 1, I think is what it was, 72, 73. So, and I think it was 73 because he says in the movie the last of the real Mustangs, I think is what he calls it. So, uh, let's see. Yeah, Gary, it's the '68 Mustang that they use in the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, as I talked about. Leonard Walters, we got a couple Leonards on here tonight, don't we? Would you consider a 4852 F1 build? I would consider it. You know, um, I like building all kinds of things, but I don't know when I would get to it. I've got so many things lined up that I need to get done, um, and then along with doing everything else that I do while I'm here. Rain Man, I'm working on a 68 Shelby clone now. Cool. That sounds cool. Also a 67 convertible Eleanor. Okay. That's cool. Yeah. Here we go. So everybody's answered the Gone in 60 Seconds Eleanor question. All right. Again, it's not that I'm totally against it. It's just that there's a group of people like that particular car or that design, and that's fine. You're going to have all kinds of um, different likes and not likes. There's people that like the 71 to 73 uh, Mustangs in particular. There's a group that like those, and that's fine. There's people that like, the Mustang 2s, 74 to whatever year they changed the name of it back to just regular Mustang. But Mark, thanks for all your guidance. I'm building a 70 convertible, cool, and a fastback. I'm a 70 fastback as well. That's really cool. Have both on there. Now you need a 70 coupe so you can get the trifecta. Why not? Gary, too many Mustang movies. Well, I don't know. There's too many. I know it's unfortunate that they end up destroying classic cars in the process. So it's nice to see them in the movies, though. We saw that the John Wick movies. We talked about that. Um, I did. I went up to the guy that owns those two cars that they use in the movies and got filmed with him and looked at the cars, and they weren't. I mean, yeah, it's a shame they beat up original Mach 1s, that's for sure. I would have been happier if they'd taken some Dynacorn bodies. Why not just use one of a Dynacorn body and smash it up? Nobody's going to care about that. Dynacorn gets their cut. People think it's a real Mustang, and nobody cares. But it's unfortunate they use real Mustangs in those movies. Jab, plastic panel accents don't belong in a 60 Stang. Yeah, well, the thing is, a man named Carroll Shelby, he puts stuff like that on there. It's just Uh, just the way it is. California Special, it has fiberglass on it, and it's a variation. Now I'm not gonna. I'd rather take one that's original like that and rebuild it than to maybe modify one that's not. Just this way I look at it. I'd rather have one that has the bloodline, let's say, of an original style car and redo it. So, um, Leonard, I was in Long Beach Navy when they filmed it and watched them distorted. Yeah. Wow, you were there? That's pretty cool. That really is, because that movie was filmed with like no permissions. They were just shutting down streets and racing down the street, and nobody told them they could do it. There's all kinds of storyline behind that movie. I think it's and that movie is actually on YouTube. If you looked up Gone in 60 Seconds and you had the yellow car on it, you can watch that movie on YouTube. And like I said, there's parts of it that are just really bad, but the chase scenes are really awesome. In fact, there's a hey Terry, thank you for the thumbs up. Um, they in the beginning scenes where they take the Barracuda or Challenger, one of the two, and they steal it. Well, they buy one that's wrecked, and they steal one, and then turn it into they do a title swap and make it another clone or whatever. And then he's trying to take it somewhere. Well, the chase scenes where they're driving this old, I think it's a Ford Wrecker, and dragging around that Challenger all over the place, and the cops chasing them. Pretty amazing scenes to watch. So, let's see. Dave Conville, very nice guy. Jack W. and I know bought a poorly restored 73 convertible. As best we can tell, he has over 50,000 in it, and it still isn't right. We tried to stop him. Yeah, that's like I said, there's niche markets for certain cars and types, and I've talked about it before. We had a guy that brought a convertible to our shop one time, and we tried to lift it up on the lift, and it started going like this, and I set it back down, and I said, this thing needs completely rebuilt, and he decided just to sell it to somebody else and let them have that problem. Doc Holliday, you know what to do in China. Lysol body spray is the best solution. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Leonard, that's good. That's exciting to me that you got to watch that go down, watch them film that. John from Liverpool, United Kingdom, fantastic content. John, I'm glad you're here, and you get a bell for showing up from Liverpool. I don't give them out. Not everybody gets a bell, but it looks like you're the first time you've been here. So I haven't seen that name before. LD 110 volt welder or 230 volt welder, considering Lincoln Electric Easy MiG 180 thoughts. I've heard really good things about that. Well, the Easy MiGs. I've heard from Miller and even from Lincoln. For me, for doing this kind of work that I do, I use a 120 volt Lincoln 140T is what I use. Now, if you have one that can run on either, if you're further ahead, if you've got some heavy stuff you're going to do, you probably want that heavier, higher voltage. But if you have one that, if you can back it down enough to where you can still weld with the 230, maybe that'll work out. But I'm happy with the Lincoln 140T. It's just, it does really well. So Gustavo, do you use seam sealer for your floor pan welds? And yes, you pronounced my name correctly. Thanks for the videos. Well, thank you. Do I use seam sealer? Yes, I do. So what I usually do when I do, I'll get everything welded in. I will, clean everything up and knock down the fat part of the weld on top. Not completely, normally don't grind it completely flush. I don't like that. So I'll leave some of the, fatness up there, and then scuff everything down. And typically I'll spray it with, put some epoxy on it to seal it all up, and then seam seal it. And that seam sealer, get it into all the cracks and grooves and all that sort of thing. And then later on, I'll come back with a I may put a primer on depending on location. And if it's under the car, of course, it'll get undercoated and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I put seam sealer all over the place. And I try to do some videos on that. Hey, see you, Rick. Glad you were here. So anyway, yeah, I put seam sealer all over the place. I've made a couple, I think I've done a couple little videos on some of the seam sealer. I was going to do one. I think I may have done one somewhere on the Brooklyn Pony, just how I do it. But I use Evercoat brushable seam sealer, and I like it a lot. Let's see. Once upon a time, hello from Dave in Staffordshire, UK. You get a bell. Glad you're here. Robert Adams, a neighbor behind me, was a 70 Mustang covered in the backyard. Not exactly what year, sure what year, and it's about 100 feet from my shop where it is. Need to ask old man what it is and what he wants. Yeah, probably ought to. At least find out. Let's see, Rick, couple thumbs up for the ELS DB-45. That's Gary, by the way. So, yeah. Yeah, you need to check with him. You know, I recently, you know what's crazy? I look on Facebook all the time at Marketplace, and this guy has been trying to sell this. It's like a 71 or 2 coupe, Mustang coupe, and he initially listed it as a 68 coupe. So I showed some interest because I was curious. And I looked at the pictures and it was like, no, this is not a 68. So I messaged him and said, this is a 71 to 73, just so you know. Well, he relisted it, and he's like, I think he's got a 351 Windsor in it, and it needs a ton of work. I think the engine's apart, all kinds of little stuff going on with it, and he has a price at like $7,000 or $8,000, and it's a 71 to 73 coupe that needs complete restoration. I don't know where he's getting his numbers from, but nobody's going to give him anywhere near $2,500 for this thing, in my opinion. It's just not, you know. But maybe he thinks he's got something. Rain Man made built clone 2 years ago. Car was a restored Highland Green. Sold it for 37 grand. Huh. Cool. Made. Oh, Bullet. I'm sorry. I gotta look at it with one eye. Bullet clone 2 years ago. Car was real. I'm sorry. See, the letters are all messed up. I'm gonna say it says RESL. So I don't know if that's real or restored, but yeah, good for you, man. That's a good return. John, I remember saying you served. I'm ex-BA Pathfinder. Yes, I served as well. I was in 10th Mountain Division. That's why there's a big 10th Mountain flag up there. I was in 85 to 88, so thank you for your service, by the way. I was in there when they activated back in 85. So, Dave Carr, I got a 67 battery apron from Kentucky Mustangs that was Dynacorn, and it was punched out for bolt holes and an excellent fit. Well, there you go. Dave, you answered somebody's question. I forget who was asking about the panel. Maybe it was LD. I got to thanks Dave. So there you go. Check into that. See if that answer takes care of your apron problem. Larry Hampton, I was just watching Peterson Restoration. I saw you were live, so I figured I'd swing over. Have you watched the channel? It seems like his channel's mostly building shells. He's pretty quick. I've seen him on Instagram. I have not watched any of his videos. You know, I know some people have commented about that. And the bigger issue, look at this. I've got somebody trying to call me. Why are you trying to call me now? As it is, I know he's using it as a selling tool for his for what he does, and that's fine. You know, I've heard. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't watched, but I've heard he doesn't go into much detail. He just kind of builds them. So I figured he's doing pretty good with that. I know he's getting a lot of views. I know that for a fact. Let's see. Once upon a time, some others do have them. Okay, I don't know what that was. Yep, I'm missing on that answer. So sorry. How hard is it for a regular schmo to get Dynacorn parts? Well, it's not that hard. You can order through various vendors. And I mentioned before, there's a guy he's on Facebook, and it's Ron Wolf. So if you can find Ron Wolf on Facebook, and it's RONWOLFE, tell him I sent you. He can probably hook you up because he drop ships parts direct, and he tries to give you a discount. So try to find Ron. Otherwise, the normal vendors you can order through and should be able to get them. Um, Robert Adams, okay, there's Larry Hampton, CJ Pony MPD, yeah. Um, Leonard, there's a 68 or 69 Torino that's been setting for years, no driver's side window, and it gets rain, snow, or sand in it, and it would make a great restore. Yeah, it's sad to see stuff like that. It's just crazy. In fact, Robert was mentioning how he has seen the Mustang near his property or whatever. There's just a few miles from here, really. I've seen it years and years ago, and I know it's a 70. I'm going to guess 72, 73 Mach 1 that has been sitting behind these people's houses, and I know it's sitting on the floor pan. I know it's been there so long that it is just sunk into the ground. And I've always said I want to stop and find out about it, but I think I've just given up on it because it's just so bad. And look at everything; it's all growing over. It's crazy. That's the last of my coffee. LD, do convertible floor pans have turned down lips or welded to inner rocker? Well, I did that. They should be turned up. Should be. But I can take a real quick look. Hold on. Okay. Well, I can tell you the Dynacorn pans I have that are welded into that floor pan, they're just welded straight up. There is no flange. So maybe I'm not sure which company you have, but that's this one. It's just with the convertible, it's flat welded up. So I haven't used other convertible pans, so I can't say for sure, but it may just be a flat up weld. Okay, Rayman says they turned down, and it may change because the only convertible panels that I've dealt with are this full Dynacorn floor assembly that I'm putting in the Brooklyn Pony, and I just looked at it, but like I said, it's just welded straight up. So it may be like he's saying that they turned down. I have not seen them directly, so that's the only answer I can give you. Once upon a time, some people do think they can rip others off with prices on cars. Yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes what people do, and it's just wrong. Hey, who's your garage? Who's your daddy? Who's your Yeah? Well, never mind. 3X Xena, I purchased from Ron, really great guy and competitive pricing. Well, there you go. There's a response about Ron Wolf that I mentioned. So, and like I said, he'll drop ship. Yes, LD. There you go. So Rainman answered that. I'll just give you a bell, Rainman. Robert said it too. Okay, Robert, you get a bell. Okay. No more answers for that. John, likewise, it was my pleasure serving alongside U.S. forces. Scariest and best time of my life, 89 and 92. If I had my time all over again, I'd do it all again. Amen to that. I would too. I miss that. I miss the guys that I served with every day. In fact, whenever I didn't know whenever I went into the military that I was being assigned. I knew I was doing the infantry, but I didn't know I was going to the 10th Mountain Division. And of course, years later, I learned about the history of the 10th Mountain. I've talked about it before. And it was an amazing time. I was airborne qualified, air assault, did jungle training, did all kinds of fun and crazy stuff, and I miss it. I really do. But I'm a lot older now, so it'd be tough to go back. Um, and that's what the thing is. I do a lot of. You may or may not know. I do run. I exercise. I try to stay in shape the best I can. So I do 5Ks and I'll do 10Ks. I'll do the Atlanta has their 10K they run through on the 4th of July. So I do that. I've done it the last 4 or 5 years. But every time I do one of these, I have another one of those flags just like that I carry with me when I run, and I try to pull it out whenever there's like a photo op or when I cross the finish line. I pull out my flag, because I feel like I'm representing my guys, and that's just one of the things that I do. I think it's just kind of cool for me to feel like they're with me in some sense. Rain Man, turn up for coupe and fastbacks, okay. But then LD has a 67 weld manual, so it's welded straight to the bottom in a rocker box, no flange. See, that's what I was saying. The Brooklyn Pony over there, it's just straight to the bottom. So, but that panel, that floor pan, I'll remind you, it's supposed to fit basically all the year models because they were pretty much the same. I think it fits 65 to 68. So they may have just adapted it to be compatible with the 68, 67, 68 design. All right. Let's see. Where am I at? Heath, Barry, you mentioned it before. What gauge do you like to leave your water on for 16, 18 gauge? I believe it's number 2 on both settings, the heat and the speed. I think that's where I go. And then I might fine tune it a little bit, but that's normally my settings, 2 and 2. Once upon a time, do you watch Jonathan W. when he bought those cars from the barn? No, have not watched Jonathan W. Jab, I miss it too. USMC of trees. Hoorah, I miss it. And I'm sure I always will till the day I die. I've had several reunions. I'm friends with a bunch of my buddies, here on Facebook, and it's funny. I had one of them. He saw the video I did on the mini split install. He lives in Hawaii, retired. He's a retired colonel in Hawaii, and he was trying to do some research on it, and my video popped up on the mini split, and he messaged me real fast. He's like, "I just watched your video on YouTube. I had no idea." That was pretty fun, but yeah, it's just the way it is. Bob Shoemaker, I made it. Okay. Oh, well, I guess you made it here. I'm assuming made it to the show. I'm glad you're here. RJ, I want to share a childhood memory. The first American car I saw in real life was a 68 Mustang that I did a burnout. Had just been in a friend's basement and listened to Twisted Sister. That's a pretty good memory. I'll give you a bell for that. That's a pretty good memory. I like that. Yeah, I remember, of course, Twisted Sister. It was all in my era. So yeah, you get a bell for that. Thank you, Leonard. Appreciate that. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate it. Robert Adams, a good choice of music. I'm a big Dee Snider fan. Yeah. I can't say I'm a big Dee Snider fan. I don't know a lot of the songs that he performed, but We're Not Gonna Take It, obviously, is the biggest hit they ever had. Leonard, I was in the Navy with a guy from Houston when we were in the Philippines and bought a water buffalo to ride. Its horns were bigger than he was tall. Yeah. I've seen pictures of those critters. It's amazing they get around, with those giant horns. Nathaniel. I'm going to say, it says Nathaniel. I'm not sure. Do you go by Nathaniel or Nathan? Because I know people that do both. So you didn't miss much. We were just going on hunger strike because we couldn't find toilet paper. That's all. That's all that's going on. Once upon a time, there were a few Mustangs. Is why I asked, have a look when you get a chance, Barry. Okay. I'll try to do that. John, that's beautiful, Barry. I represent my guys every November 11th. Respect to you and your buddies. Thank you. Appreciate it. I actually go by Doc. All right, now that might be tricky. I've got a few that I can remember, you know. Um, so I'll have to see if I can. Uh, hey Nick, um, I'll see if I can remember Doc for Nathaniel Phillips. So it's Doctor Nathaniel Phillips, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, um, but yeah, it's been those events that I do. I do Spartan races. I may have mentioned that before, and I carry the flag through every Spartan race, and it gets dirty and muddy, and I try to. I'll like I said, they'll have different photo ops where they're carrying sandbags and a lot of times I actually tie it on. I'll actually have it tied to my back, and as I'm running, and um, that makes it just kind of interesting whenever there are pictures taken, and then I'll share it with my buddies because I try to get them involved too. It's something to do, and if we can all stay in shape while doing it and having some fun, why not? You know. Um, let's see. There you go, John and Jab crossing over thumbs. Cool. Let's see. Terry, I like Sammy Hagar Can't Drive 55. Yeah, I think that's just an awesome song. And the more I learn about Sammy Hagar, the more I appreciate him as an artist and what he's done. Um, it's really he's really got some great songs, and very few people can sing the way Sammy Hagar can sing. So I have to give him credit for that. I forget. There's all kinds of different bands he's been in and performed in, obviously with Van Hagar or whatever. So, but there's plenty of others, The Circle and various other bands that Sammy Hagar has performed in that they've made some great songs. Um, Robert Adams got to have enough toilet paper to change out the lining in their tinfoil hats. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, here you go. As I was talking about, I went looking for pictures. There's a picture at a Spartan race, and at the end of it, they have a fire jump. So I pull out the flag, pop it up, and make some pictures with it. But I've, it's just a thing to do, you know. Um, just trying to imagine doing it because it reminds me a lot, especially the Spartan race. It reminds me a lot of the stuff I did in the military. You know, um, there's one on some rings, traversing the rings, and I got the flag draping off of me. It's just fun, and it's really fun when I do these rings. There's like 12 or something rings, and you'll see these young guys get up there and they're trying to swing, and they get so far and they drop and they can't handle it. And I'm watching all these people drop. And if you fail the event, you have to do 30 burpees. So you really don't want to fail the challenge. And so I get up there. Here I am. I'm 52, and I've got pretty good upper body strength. And I'll jump up there and grab those rings, and I keep my arms locked at 90 degrees, and I'll just go one, 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 and hit the bell at the end and jump off. And all these young guys are like, "What?" It's pretty funny. They only know one way to do something, and they can't think beyond that box. And I learned real quick that trying to do those swings, you're stretching out your arms and having problems. But anyway, it's pretty cool. Um, there you go. What's up, Doc? Got a thumbs up, Jab. All right, Leonard Thunderhead 289 on YouTube has a very funny life hack about TP. Okay. Guess we could put in a backside cleaner like in Crocodile Dundee. Yeah, you could. Get a couple Leonards going here. They're back to back. That's good. Um, let's see. Red Squirrel Metal Wood. Hey, glad you're here. Red Squirrel Metal and Wood. So, do you have a YouTube channel about Red Squirrels Metal and Wood? Is that why is that the name, or is there something else going on there? Stephen Edge, your videos are inspiring me to get my wife 65-6 back on the road. One day I'll make space in my garage. Definitely learning a lot from you. Cool. That's what I like to hear. You get a bell. That's what I like to hear. Anytime people are getting work done on their cars, because of the little things that I feel like I'm doing. I know I say little things, but they're not. They're big things, big projects. But Anyway, that's good. I like to hear that. Let's see. We've got Brian. Hi, Barry. Just enjoying the night here with you in my garage in the middle of a paint job right now. Not a Mustang, just a mailbox. But a week-long project for me. Well, I'm hoping you're doing some like flames or something. You know, got to make it look cool. If you're painting a mailbox, it's got to have some sort of cool accents on it. Otherwise, you know, what are you doing? But I'm hoping it's something flashy. Andrew Smith 34. Those young guys are the same ones looking at themselves in the mirror, shirtless at the gym. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is the way it is, you know. But and I will say I'm not fast. You know, when I compete at these events, I'm really just I'm trotting along. You know, I gave up on running 8-minute miles anymore. Now I'm down to about 9:30 is probably my average pace. You know, my comfortable pace. But anyway, so these young guys will pass me, taking off, running on the events, and I get to they're dogged out by the time they get to the physical challenge, and I just breeze right through it. And I get ahead of them, and then they'll pass me again, and it's kind of fun. Let's see, Leonard, youngest. Okay. Big Kingfish 2003. What brands of tools do you own, and did you get them new or used? Well, that's a good question. What brands of tools? That covers a lot of ground. Really, it does. If you're talking hand tools, I've got everything from Snap-on to Harbor Freight, Mac, Craftsman, Channel Lock, Vice Grip. What's the other one? I got all kinds of stuff. So that covers a wide variety. I've got various other grinders and stuff. You know, um, there's so many things that I have. I know that I know people have asked me before about making videos about tools, and I may just have to do that. Um, but I've got a little throatless shear from Harbor Freight. I've got a MIG welder that's a Lincoln. I've got a TIG welder that's a Vulcan from Harbor Freight. You know, that's a really big question to answer. As far as what brands and of tools. Um, CM2 Barrows, you're doing a great job on the Mustang. Thank you. Appreciate that. John Curlin, Austin Berry, it's Highland games for me. Hammer, caber toss, and bagpipes. I've seen those on TV or videos. That's pretty cool. I don't think I could do the. I know they do the hammer, and I guess the one where is that the one where they toss a log, where you grab it and kind of pitch it up and get it to toss. I don't know if that's considered the caber or not. I don't think I'd be into that at this point in my life. I have enough lower back problems that I don't need that. Let's see. Jab, I'd like to eventually put a new 7.3 Godzilla motor in my 67. Oh, see you, Jack. Glad you're here. Oh, youngster. Yeah. Hey, Leonard. I guess to you, I would be not really a youngster. I'm younger, but Jab, that would be cool. It's gonna be a tight squeeze. You're gonna have to do a lot of custom work, I think, but you get it in there if you really want to try it. Do it. Chris Lambert would love to see your approach of running flexible gas and return lines under the Mustangs for a Holley Sniper EFI style setup. Well, I don't know if I'm going to get to that point. We'll see. If it comes to that, I'll figure something out. But at this point, that's not on my agenda. So we'll see. Dave, will you be getting a replacement VIN tag from Marty? No. I'll be good. I'm going to use, if you're talking about the door tag, I'll just transfer, the one from the door to the new door. No, it won't be a problem. Oh, that's the caber. I'm 48 in April. Yeah, well, and some people are really built and geared for that kind of activity. For me, it's overhand strength, overarm, high strength stuff that I like to do. Like I've done it to where I haven't done it in here. I did it at a pavilion that is probably 40 feet long, where I've grabbed the trusses and gone hand over hand over hand all the way down and back, well, on the trusses, uh, just because I could. But the lifting stuff is what's probably going to, get me in the end. Eventually, I do have, will have more back problems as I go, and I think part of that is thanks to Uncle Sam. But being a 11 Charlie, which is a mortar gunner, I carried a lot of weight when I was in the military, and did a lot of physical things that put a lot of strain on my back. But I'm okay for now. Danny, please do a video of tools so I know which ones to buy. Okay, I'll see what I can put together. The air tools and stuff, those are, bulk of that is Harbor Freight. I've got, again, some Mac. A lot of this stuff I've just had for years and years and years, and I just don't really think about it. So I'll see what I can come up with. Danny, with your experience with certain tools, that would help everyone get the right ones and stay away from the ones that don't work. Yeah, that's true. Heath, I owned my 68 Mustang for 36 years. Can't wait to drive it again. Still have my Motley Crue cassette in it. I'll give you a bell for that. I hope to have the Brooklyn Pony done in less than 36 years. I hope. Leonard, have you ever had to make tools for your projects? In a way, I have, but it's usually not like something super specific. Like I've done a brake job on the 92 F-150 trucks, and the calipers are held in with a compression type of pin. So I've had to make a tool that I could drive those out. It's really just like a modified punch, but nothing special. I've made my own tool to put in a camshaft, little things like that. But I can't say I've made. Well, you know what? I did make something years ago when I was racing dirt track. I needed a tool to adjust the weight jacks in the car, and basically ended up welding a socket to a shaft, or so I could hand crank them in. But it seems like there was something else I made one time. It was very specific. I had to take a socket, and I think I had to weld it together with something else and cut a notch in it to get to a specific bolt somehow. I don't remember the details. That was a long time ago, but I've only made a few really specific tools that I need for certain things. Let's see. Big Kingfish, talk about your truck that you. Oh, okay. Talk about. Oh, you're talking about the Franken truck. Hey, we'll see you, Leonard. Glad you were here. All right, LD, we'll see you. And Brian, any chance you might be able to make it to Carlisle this year? Probably not. Going to try to make it to see Nick. Are you familiar with him? Nick's Garage. No, I'm not familiar with Nick's Garage. But yeah, I've never gone to Carlisle. I'd like to go sometime. And I've had invites to go to various other swap meets, and I've got family obviously in that area up in Pennsylvania. So I wouldn't mind going to Carlisle just to see it, but I've never been there. So maybe I should put that on my agenda. I'm going to go back to Big Kingfish. That you want me to talk about the truck? Okay. Well, a couple things. You're asking about the truck. A couple things that I don't know. I really enjoy the truck. I have no issues with driving it. I love driving the truck. Of course, it's going to start right up. It's all computer controlled and everything. In hindsight, I probably would have considered not using the full computer system that's in the truck if I could use something else. But I didn't want to cut wires and modify things like that, so I avoided that on purpose. I also, I took away. I think I'd mentioned maybe in one of the videos that I made that I should have cut out the firewall from the 06 truck to put into the 68, and try to use everything there, the pedal and the gas pedal and the brake pedal and the assembly and all that sort of thing. That might have been a good thing. I don't know. Um, I know I was trying to keep as much of the original 68 cab as I could. So um, as I built the truck, I did run into one electrical problem that I talked about that in one of the videos. I put the plugs in wrong and I melted a ground wire, and that I think has caused me some problems because, and this is really weird, and I've talked about this with several people and I don't have a good answer. Because of that fault that I did, the truck will start and drive no problem, no issues whatsoever. But when I stop and I shut it off, it'll want to sit there. It'll either want to try to stay running for some reason, or I can shut it off and there's a relay up in the fuse panel that keeps clicking, and that relay is triggering what feels like something with the throttle body. Okay, so if I pull the relay and I let it sit for a few minutes, put the relay back in, it's fine. Now here's some of the weird stuff about it. If I were to, because I still have the automatic headlights. And this is really where it gets really weird. I have the automatic headlights. So if I push on the brake pedal and I turn the key off and I wait until the automatic headlights shut off and I let off the brake, there's no clicking. The relay, so it has something to do with that headlight device. Somebody else had mentioned that it's probably something to do with the brakes. I don't know. I may have, because I didn't change any of the wiring after I fixed that burnt wire. I did not change anything. So either I've got something out of place with the wiring system, or the relay is triggered by some sort of other failure. Anyway, that's the only issue that I have with the truck. Otherwise, fantastic. I love driving it. The only other thing that I would like to fix or modify is I want to put a vintage air system in it at some point and get that connected so I have real heat and AC going. I do have heat, but I want to have the AC set up. So that'll come later, someday, maybe. And the other thing I was looking at is I still have the gauges just sitting there from the 06 truck. They're just sitting in the hole because I haven't had time to build anything for it. I have designs and everything that I want to put together, but I just haven't had time. Now, another friend of mine who builds LS trucks or does LS engine swaps into various vehicles, he has said that if I went with a Dakota Digital setup, I could probably bypass almost all this stuff and make it simpler. So I have not researched it beyond that. We had a conversation this week about it. But you can buy the Dakota Dash that would bolt right in, and from what he says, I could repin some stuff. I don't know, and it would work just exactly like I need it to. The only conflict I have is I'm using the steering column from the 06 truck, and so it's affecting the opening where that dash panel, where the gauge cluster would go. So those are like really only the problems I've had with the truck. Otherwise it's been great. Like I said, I love driving. It is kind of loud. Well, I say loud because there's no carpet in it. There's no insulation. There's no flooring. There's no pads on the floor, so you get the road noise and all that sort of thing. But otherwise, it's good. Let's see. Oh, Danny, what about the pliers pulled you built? Yeah, those were vice grips that I really just had a friend of mine turn a rod, a straight rod. He just threaded the end to match the vice grips and then threaded the other end to hold the nut. And then the slide, the handle part of it, I think that was salvaged from another slide hammer kit. So yeah, I guess technically that was a tool that I made, but that's where that came from. Let's see. Mason, hey Jody, on your Frankenstein, what you got for exhaust on it, and does it have catalytic converters? It has the catalytic converter still on it. All the exhaust is there. The mufflers that are on are MagnaFlows. They're stainless steel MagnaFlows, and they are turnaround mufflers that were used on Mustangs. So basically, it just has a big U in it. So the inlet and the outlet are on the same end. The reason I did that was so that I could have my stacks. Otherwise, I would have had to come straight back with no mufflers and go up, and that would have been really loud. So the exhaust, I have a video on that exhaust too. If you follow it back, it goes through those mufflers and comes up. Well, actually, it comes in the bottom, I think, and then goes up, and then transitions up into the stacks. So I wanted to keep all the emission stuff in place just because. Let's see, Barry, who's your main go-to? Wait a minute, Robert. What did the 06 donor truck cost? Well, bought that when I bought that truck, and that was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I think. I think I got that truck for $4,000. That's what I paid for it, and it was a running driving truck. You can see the videos. That's what I paid for it, and then I sold off what I could, and I did the math. I think my cost for everything once I was done and selling off the other parts of the other truck and a variety of things, I think my total cost was like $6,200 or something like that, or $6,500. I think that was my end result, cash cost, not labor cost. Dave, who is your main go-to for the Mustang body parts? Currently, it's CJ. Now, I have not pursued anybody else because I haven't needed to buy anything else since I have all the parts for Brooklyn Pony. So in the future, I may go to NPD. I don't know. I may go through Ron Wolf to get those parts that I need, depending on what it is. Robert, either the PCM was FUBARD. I bought a 93 LeSabre for $3,000 from a dealer with $20,000 on it because of a bad ECM they couldn't diagnose. Yeah, and that's, I've tried. I actually took it to a friend of mine who has a shop. He put it on his computer, and it didn't come up with any faults. It was really weird. It didn't come up with anything really wrong with it. So I don't know. Maybe again, I have a wire or something going on with the brakes. I don't know. But I may look into that Dakota Digital setup just because and see how that works. But I haven't committed to anything yet. As it is, I just know I leave my foot on the brake for when I shut it off and wait 10 seconds, and it's good to go. Minor inconvenience. Leonard, Knott's Berry Farm has fabulous Fords in April, and it's a day for viewing any Fords. That could be interesting. Of course, in April, who knows? They might shut it down. They might not even have it this year. K. Kent got a 66. The sail panels on both sides are full of holes. I can't tell if they sit on top of the quarter or do they butt up to it. Trying to plan how to fix it. No lead there, must have been redone. Oh, okay. Well, if you look at the full quarter, if you look at an image of a full quarter, it's going to come up into that sail panel area and then have a drop back. It'll have a joggle and it'll kick back. So if you're, like I said, coming up and then it'll go back. Sail panel sits on top of that. So just think of it that way. And then I actually have, if you go back, there's some videos I have of removing the lead. I think it's many years ago that I burned out lead on those seams on some other Mustangs. So, but anyway, the quarter will go up underneath the sail panel, and then I believe, I can't picture it in my head right now, but I know that for a fact on those. So, see you, Dave. Glad you're here. Yeah, it's gonna be tricky to get that. Gonna be tricky to get that fixed. Thank you, Big King. It was a fun build. And I did that while I was doing other things. So that's why I don't want to say I rushed it, but I knew I needed to get things taken care of so that I could use it. And I got tired of seeing the two trucks sit out in my driveway. So, Roberts, I need to find me a chuck of steel to make a slide hammer like that. Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't be. I know I salvaged the handle from another slide hammer kit. So you might be able to go like to Harbor Freight and buy their slide hammer kit. I don't know if it comes off or not. I have that Harbor Freight kit somewhere around here. You might be able to do that, and then if it comes off, it should come off somehow. Maybe I could be wrong, but you may be able to just transfer that to your vice grip kit, maybe. So, Brian W, look up Nick sometime. You would like him. He loves an old school. He loves all old school muscle cars. Super engine builder from Canada. All right, I'll see if I can do that. Nick's Garage. Okay. All right, Kent, KK. Big King, are Ford builds your preference now compared to other muscle cars? Hey, Tom Paget, I was just talking about you earlier. I'm glad you're here. Let me back up a second. I don't know if you've seen it or not, Tom. I have not checked on pricing for your hat yet. Sorry, been kind of busy, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the world apparently. So I'm still working on it, but I'm glad you're here. Big King, are Ford builds your preference now compared to other muscle cars? My mind says no, but it seems like I've gotten really accustomed to building Mustangs, and that may be my forte going forward. Maybe that's what I just focus on is. And I've said it before. I'm probably not going to do the builds like I'm doing now with the Brooklyn Pony, because it's just there's too much going on. Putting in the engine and transmission and interior, whatever, all those things that require to build the car. Or if I do, it'll be a different approach. But at this point, I'm really familiar with the Mustangs, so maybe that's what I need to do is just start doing the sheet metal stuff and getting everything right and then passing that on and letting somebody else finish it at home. So I still want to build the 68 Camaro that I have, the basket case as I call it. I really haven't done much of anything with Mopars, just because there's not really an opportunity. But it seems like I get plenty of calls about Mustang stuff, so that may be my default. Leonard, considering selling my Torino to buy a 7173 Mustang Coupe restore these years are the ones I like the most. Yeah, and it's funny, Leonard, you mentioned that. Probably a mile that direction from me, maybe a mile, maybe half a mile, there is a 71 to 73 coupe just sitting there in somebody's driveway. It's bright yellow with black stripes going across the top of it, and it has not moved in many, many months. And I've been tempted just to go and ask, hey, what are you doing with this car? Do you want to sell it? And I know there's another 73 coupe, 71 73 coupe that is about a mile that way from me, sitting in front of a house. It's a rundown house, and they were driving it. I think they wrecked it. I think they had some front end damage to it. So I don't know. They're still around. There's plenty of Mustangs around still. Danny Stowe, would you consider daily driving one of your Mustangs? That's a tough question. I would love to, but unfortunately, there's too many people out there who are just naive. They're not driving properly. They don't care about anybody else. I could drive to work in my little Ford Focus doing the speed limit or better, and I've got people trying to bump draft me. And I'm like, what are you doing? I got nowhere to go, stuff like that. So I would be really upset if I was driving my 68 or 65 on a daily basis and somebody hit it. I would be really, really upset. So I'm going to say no to the daily driver idea, just because. Heath, Mustang Man, you are the best. All right. Okay, I got a thumbs up there from Heath, so I'm going to say thank you for that. I guess you're referring to me as Mustang Man. I don't know. Yes, Tom Paget, yes. I agree. It's not a priority, but I will still check. We'll still figure it out. Jeff Underdahl. That's a different name. Underdahl. Okay. I'm restoring 68 Fastback. Love your channel. You have a lot of talent. I'm watching your videos almost daily. Keep up the great work. I'll give you a bell for that. Anybody who's watching my videos over and over, you get a bell. Robert, Mustangs are the cheapest car to restore, which helps. I would like to do a Chrysler A-body, but the tolerance on those things were huge and sloppy. Parts are hard to find and very pricey for them. Yeah, I know there's certain Mopars that I really like. I guess it's considered B-body. I love the 67 Plymouth Belvedere or Satellite GTX. I love it. I had one of those when I was young. I just love the looks of it. Great big box. It's just a big box car, but it's really cool. And I would love to have one, but probably not going to happen. Let's see. Tom Paget, I have to replace the head gasket on my 73 Mach 1 with a Cleveland in it. I found all the gasket needed, but I can't find original head studs. Do you not replace it on American engine when you remove head bolts? You don't have to necessarily. I know a lot of cars now have stretch tolerance bolts. You torque it to a certain set and it stretches the bolt and it stays that way, and when you're done you throw them away. But if you've got factory head bolts, there's no reason to replace them. You can check the length on them, see if any of them are stretched, but it's very unlikely. Otherwise, use AARP, not AA. That's another thing. ARP. ARP bolts. AARP. That's American Association of Retired Persons. No. ARP, I think, is the brand you may want to consider. But no, I would not reply. I've used plenty of head bolts over. There's nothing wrong with that. If there's no corrosion, if they're not rusted, I don't see any issue with reusing them, honestly. Yeah, Leonard, I'd like to get a better look at it, but it's kind of sketchy. It's where it's at. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable just walking up, and trying to, unless I pulled up. I don't know how I'd approach that, because some people are, it's a risky move to approach somebody unless they're happen to find them outside at the right time or something like that. You're welcome, Jeff. Chris Lambert, daily drive my 67 Coupe, 69 Mach is more for shows. Love my Mustangs. Yeah. I mean, there are times where I'd like to drive it when I get it done. If. And I probably will drive it more often, but I can't say I'll use it as a daily driver. I drive my little Ford Focus because the thing gets 29 miles to the gallon, and if somebody hits me in it, I'm not going to be upset. Robert had a friend with a Satellite, was like driving a container ship. But a really, really nice looking container ship. You put some Krager SS's on there or something, or torque thrusts. Pretty cool looking car. Mine was burgundy with a black vinyl top. I just love the looks of the car. Where the roof line comes back and narrows down to a little taper. Just a really cool look to me. In fact, if you go to Tommy Boy, in Tommy Boy movie, they had a 67 convertible. And it was supposed to be a GTX car, which really is painful to watch. They just mangled that car. But anyway. Yeah, Leonard, those are not torque to yield bolts on a Cleveland. That's correct. Those are not. I'm just saying modern cars, a lot of modern cars have the torque to yield bolts, and so they're done when they're done. But the old stuff, it's really super hard and durable. Reuse it. Big Kingfish, leaving it under the wiper with a contact number. Yeah, well, the thing is, where this car is located, there's a row of houses this direction, and then there's one house facing like opposite, let's say, and then this is behind both houses, and it's up against a tree line and all kinds of junk growing up over it. I could not get near that one. Now that would be the Mach 1. The other ones I could probably easily get access to. You're right. I could yellow 70 coupe, 71 2.3 coupe, whatever. I could probably easily talk to them about that. In fact, there's a 60, I don't know if it's a 65 or 6 that is almost in my backyard, and it's been sitting there. It's got to be 12 years now, and just get leaves and junk all over it. And I know it's a V8 car. I've actually walked up there one time to somebody who was outside, and I said, "Hey, what's going on with this car?" And they said, "Oh, it belongs to my roommate. They're going to fix it up one day." No, they're not. It's going to rot right there in the driveway. In fact, I used that car as a reference. They didn't know it. Nobody was home. And I went and I took measurements, and I heard a truck come down the street. I took measurements and pictures of the Mustang logo, or the fender emblems, so that I could do that light blue Mustang that I did several years ago. That's where I got my reference points, was off of that car. And they don't know that I was there, but I took pictures of it. Let's see. Yeah, mine's I drive that Focus all the time. It's just, like I said, 28, 29 miles to the gallon. I can't beat it. And I see guys driving to work in F350 dualies, and I'm like, why are you driving this to work? Great big 4x4 monster trucks that are driving to work just as a commuter, and I'm thinking, you're crazy. You're just wearing out a $80,000 truck for nothing. You should be driving some little junker like I'm doing and save yourself a bunch of money and wear and tear. But to each their own, I guess. Yes, Leonard, just lube the threads. Yeah. Yep. You're welcome, Tom. You don't need to buy new bolts. You'll be good. Robert Adams Ford didn't start using torque to yield or torque to TTA bolts until the 80s on the 302s. Well, there you go. So there's Robert, you get another bell. You've been eating up these bells, man. Chris Lambert. Joe, have you tried different rack and pinion setups? Using Randall's rack myself. Love to hear your thoughts on using R&P. Is it better to go with a Mustang 2 style setup or the bolt-ons? The only rack and pinion setup that I'm working with would be this in the Brooklyn Pony, and that's the kit that came with TCI, and that's a Borgeson setup. I know it's a Borgeson. At least that's what it says in the box. So that's the only one I have any reference to, and it's designed to go with that kit. So I can't say otherwise. I don't have an answer. Oh, you know what? Since I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, let me get a drink of water. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. Danny, my boss, has a 6970 Mach 1 in the yard. I'm trying to talk him into letting me buy it. Wanting to buy it too much to have more than one project. Big block car, I believe. Oh, I'm going to find one eventually for the right price. So one of these days. Yeah, Robert, I'm a fountain of useless technical information myself. I think, sometimes my friends will ask me something and I go into a long and they go like, I just wanted to know what color the 68 Mustang was, whatever. And I tend to just go overboard on it. But if you've already seen it in my videos. That's how I'm geared. I'm going to tell you everything I know all at once and just get it over with. Yeah, Leonard, it irritates me when I see cars just sitting there rusting away. Hey, if you haven't noticed, back here on the wall, I had a picture. People have asked me about various vehicles and stuff like that. So I pulled this down tonight. You see that empty spot right below that picture? That is what this is. Now, I've talked about it before. This is a 70 short bed that I built several years ago. It was a real, see if I can get that light out of the way a little bit. Anyway, so this is the truck. I don't know where I'm at. There you go. I really like this truck. This is the one that had the 454 in it. And the story goes that the guy bought it at an auction, and he bought it for his grandson, and apparently he was intoxicated when he bought the thing. So he buys this truck, and takes it home, and he's doing like burnouts at every red light. He can't. It's like so powerful that he can't control himself. Now I got to let my camera focus back and find me again. There we go. So anyway, that truck was pretty cool. Now I bought it off of him and dismantled it. I pulled it all apart. I think I put rocker panels in it, cab corners, patched up the floor, and then really went over the top on, tightening up the gaps and tweaking it to where everything was really, really slick. My buddy repainted it, and then that's the one I traded off / sold on another truck. But that truck was really cool. It had those little cutouts in the bed where it had like a step type of deal. And of course, it was lowered. I mean, that's probably the most hot rod thing I've had, and I don't regret selling it because it was too much, And again, it was one of those things where if I were to get hit in it, I would be really upset. So, but people were asking about it, so now they know that was the truck. That's a pot of coffee time. Yeah. Yeah, I can't help it. If I have information that somebody's asking me about, I feel obligated to share it. Yeah, it was a very cool truck, Heath. Very cool. Black interior, tilt wheel, and just really, really was a cool truck. I think I was trying to think. I know somebody usually asks me about junkyard stories, so I got to come up with a junkyard story for y'all. And I think I have one that's interesting, and this is one of those junkyard errors or mistakes. When you do stuff at the junkyard, sometimes you end up taking stuff apart with tools, or you end up cutting stuff apart with a torch. And in this instance, my brother, yeah, well, Reese, why drive anything if you get hit in it? That's true, but if I can reduce the chances, you have to remember I live around Atlanta. Okay, I see cars get hit every day. Every single day I see a car that's been hit, it seems, or else I get really close to getting hit. So that's why I'm not gonna take the chance on a car that I really enjoy or love. Just saying, it's just the reality of it. Unfortunately, some kid or some person out texting somebody while they're driving and they T-bone my Mustang. Not cool. I'm not gonna live with that. So just saying. Now, if it's on a weekend or something, and I'm driving to work on a weekend, that'll probably happen. But definitely not a Friday. I will not drive that car on Fridays. Not even taking that chance. Let's see. Big Kingfish, various, I guess curious, the investment costs of Brooklyn Pony, considering just about everything's all new. I assume you have 15 plus in the engine, trans alone. Well, I'm not going to go into details on that. Because I'm building that for somebody else. I'm not going to go into those details. If I'm doing it for myself, I might talk about stuff like that, but I'm building it for somebody else. So we'll just say that's off the table for, conversation. Nothing personal, just the way it is. But I was talking about the junkyard and stuff. And when I was a teenager, of course we did all kinds of crazy stuff at the junkyard, like I was saying. And, you take stuff apart. Yeah, driving Manhattan. No thanks. I'm not going to New York either. Okay, so Heath, there you go. So anyway, one day my brother was trying to separate, I think he was trying to pull the engine or cut off the front frame off of some sort of station wagon. Okay. And it was we lived on a little kind of a dirt township road, nothing major, but it was a farm all around us. And anyway, so he was working on cutting up this car, and thank you, Chris. Yeah, thank you. I'll give you a bell. Good content. Love the videos. Thank you. So anyway, he was working. It was a station wagon, in fact, and so he's using the torches and he's cutting them up, and I'm just kind of assisting. You know, my brother's 6 years older than me, so I'm just kind of doing what he tells me to do. Well, just so happened that day that I'm near the car. I think I was at the rear of the car, and he was at the front and running the torch, and he cut the fuel line with that torch, and I heard it. I heard it go. He heard it go, and he looks at me and just screams, "Run!" And then he took off running towards the torches because he was trying to shut them off. And I took off just running the other way. And I remember hearing a boom. And I turned around, and that station wagon was up on its nose. And then it came back down, and there was fire everywhere. And it just so happened, I mean, it was actually causing problems with, there were some cars around it, and it was starting to, lick flames on those cars. And our neighbor was coming by with his tractor at just the right time, and he took a chain and slung it through the back, where the back hatch would be, and out the window on the corner of the car. Grabbed that chain and hooked it to his tractor, and dragged it across the road and into his field. One of his fields was just a hay field, but there was nothing. Thankfully, there was no real hay there. But he had to drag that car off, and ended up causing damage to a bunch of other cars. This is just a brief story, but it's just one of those things where you remember it, because I could have died. It was just, another exciting day at the junkyard. Leonard had a guy who went to school with, his dad owned Jordan's Wrecking Yard in Dallas, and he was a lot like you, drove a different car almost every week. Yep. All the time, drove all kinds of stuff. Hey, Cecil, glad you're here. Battery burnout, drove my 73 Coupe in Manhattan all the time in the 90s. It's kill or be killed. Yeah, 351 Cleveland made it fun, I'll bet. But would you do it today? That's the question. It's gotten a lot crazier with people on their cell phones. And, in Atlanta, the Atlanta area, my son was driving his car through downtown Atlanta, and there was an accident happened in front of him. Multiple cars. One guy was rolling down the road, and my son hit the brakes and was slowing down to try to make sure he didn't hit anybody. The guy behind him is blowing his horn, like, "Get out of the way, I'm coming through." And the other car was like still on it, finishing its roll, and this guy's blowing on the horn like, "Forget about them, keep going." It's like people just don't even care. I got places to be. It's me first. So anyway, it's pretty crazy. And in fact, I can't say for other areas, but on the interstates around here, like 285 goes all the way around Atlanta. I think the speed limit is 55 in some spaces and maybe 65 in others. The average speed is probably 80 miles an hour. Yeah. And if you go down I-85 out of Atlanta, heading south, again, speed limit 65, maybe 75. I've been doing 85 miles an hour getting passed by people as I'm driving down the interstate in my wife's minivan, me and her going somewhere. 85 miles. Think about that. We're doing 85, and you've got cars on the left. Vroom, vroom, vroom. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy, some of the driving. Okay, so we got which Mustang parts supplier do you prefer, CJ Pony or NPD? Well, I've not dealt with NPD yet, and I see Robert has mentioned NPD has the best customer service and quality checks, so I'm going to have to go with that. And Robert, no, you're not getting any more bells tonight. You're trying, no more. Let's see. Oh, let's see. I would if they didn't charge extra just to drive there. It's all light to light, less than 25 miles per hour. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a different story. But here around Atlanta, it's like NASCAR. I mean, you better get out of the way or you're going to get run over. Randy Owl, I'm going to say owl. Is that correct? Owl? That's a tough one to say. I swear CJ is 90% back order on products, even though it says in stock when you put it in the cart to buy. Yeah, I've been that way. Um, I've seen that. I've had parts on back order that I've ordered as well. Um, all right, K Kent, we'll see you. Glad you're here. Battery burnout. Drove through Atlanta a couple of times. Long parking lot. Yeah, I know, Robert. I'm just teasing you. I have to. Maybe I should have a little counter, so I know how many bells people get. I don't want everybody else to get nervous, be jealous of you. So, um, let's see. Oh, okay, Randy. All. I have your Iowa plates. I probably did. They're up on the wall. I don't. I don't remember. Sorry. I have a hard time remembering where all those plates came from. I actually tried to put some information on the back of any of those plates that I got. I tried. I didn't. Some of them have the name and who sent them to me or whatever. So thank you for those plates, by the way. Um, yeah, battery burnout. It depends on what time of day and where you're at, because there are other times where it's just full on, green flag racing. um, Reese Richter, how sturdy is a stock C4 transmission? That's a good question. I can't say. I don't know for sure. It probably depends a lot on your gear ratio in your rear end, what size tires you're running, how you're beating it, stomping the gas. There's a lot of variables in there. So somebody else may have a better answer or have a answer. I don't have a great answer for that. I'm sorry. But that's where I'm at. Yeah, Leonard, they don't even consider it. I mean, I saw a video of some wreck in Chicago. Let's see, John. Barry's now 054 here in the UK. It's been awesome chatting. I'll catch you on the next one. All right, glad you're here, John. Get some sleep. Robert, I've tried the last 2 times here in Greece to get, or winning. Last 2 times we were in Greece to get a small Greek flag and a Greek license plate. Yeah, I don't know what the restrictions are. Obviously there's other restrictions. Anyway, I was saying, Leonard, there's a guy, I saw a video the other day where these people were driving this car, teenagers, and another guy come up, let's see, this way, and the drunk driver caught him in the corner and spun the first car sideways, and another car T-boned those people. The debris was still flying around when a big Dodge truck slowed down, turned, drove over the debris and up on the sidewalk, and just kept on going. They didn't hesitate one bit. They didn't stop. Just drove right through it. So we'll see you, Dave. Glad you're here. Okay, let's see. John Fox of the Fox Shop is in Iowa. Okay. Where was I at here? What plates am I missing? Heath, I am missing. The only one I'm missing is Vermont. I have everything else, but I don't have Vermont. And I may have to go on eBay to get Vermont. But I actually have 2 plates from Australia. I've got a plate from Ontario. Prince Edward Island is another plate I have. One from American Samoa. And the rest are all just state plates and a couple of my own personal plates that I've had over the years and kept. Anyway, so yeah, Vermont's the only one I'm missing. See you, Dave. If I didn't say it already, sorry. I'm just seeing these as they roll up. Oh, Bernie, thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you, appreciate that. All thumbs ups count. Yeah, Bernie Sanders will send you Vermont. Yeah, right. I don't think I can afford to make the donation for what he wants. Let's see. Stephen Edge, can you talk about the building of your shop? I'm interested in how big it is and type of insulation. Sure, I can talk about it. The shop itself is standard, rectangular shape. It's 24 wide by 36 long. That's the primary shop, about 900 square feet. If you do the math, it's close. 24 by 36. Now, that wall over there, no insulation right now. This wall, back wall, and front wall are all insulated and with fiberglass insulation and covered with 3/16 plywood. And then the ceiling or the roof, you can see, is spray foam, open cell spray foam up there over over the top of the door, and the gable ends are all spray foam. So if that's what you're asking, that's what I have. Now in the back, I've added on, it's got a 14-foot add-on going that way. So the overall dimension of the shop is 50, but it's 14 by 24. And so that's my paint bay that I have all the way in the back of the shop. So Danny still makes you scared to think I'm going to daily drive mine in 5 years when it's done. Yeah, there's pages I follow on Facebook, and maybe I shouldn't, but it's like wrecked muscle cars or anything wrecked, and I see these classic cars that are guys that go into a car show and they're trying to turn into the event, and some moron texting plows into the back of a classic GTO or Chevelle, whatever. And it's like, all I was trying to do was get to the car show, kind of thing. And somebody being stupid totals out his, mint condition classic car. That's why I get really nervous about, going anywhere. Let's see. Brian, recently rebuilt my wife's 03 Focus 2.0 split port that dropped a valve seat. Big mess. Now I have a Focus for sale for 2G that I have much more than into it. Oh well, I like it. Yeah, my Focus keeps on running. I mean, it's got 230,000 miles on it, and as long as it starts and goes, I'll keep driving it, I guess. But I will say, I think my next vehicle is, and maybe people will disagree, but I think my next vehicle is going to be a Honda Element, because I remember them when the first time I saw one was at a manufacturer's car show. They had new Chevys, new whatever, and they had the new Honda Element. This is back in 02, I think, was the event. So it was in 03. I just like the concept of the Honda Element. And if you're going to haul something, a box of some sort, whatever, they're so usable compared to other SUV types. And I've been kind of eyeballing up these Honda Elements for quite some time. So I may end up getting one of those just because I like it. I like the idea that I can put, if I want to go ride my bike somewhere, my wife and I want to go ride bikes, you can actually put 2 bikes in that thing, stand them up, no problems. The seats fold up, all kinds of cool stuff that they designed into those. So that may be my next vehicle that I get, is a Honda Element, but not just yet. Robert, most think Texans drive fast. Atlanta's definitely a different animal. Here in Texas, no one thinks of the guy behind them, and they creep through lights and make you miss the green. Yeah. Not here, man. If you get a yellow light, if you come up on a yellow light, you're going to go, if you go through it, you think, whew, I just made it. And you look in your mirror, there's 3 more cars coming. They don't care. They're like, it's red, it's close enough. I made it in their mind. I mean, it's just every day I see cars shooting through. It's like, all right. Terry Baptist, need a license plate from Japan. I don't know if that's a question or a statement, but I would like to have a license plate from Japan. I don't know. I haven't considered getting one, but I'll take one from, wherever, get it on the wall. Andrew Smith, how high are your ceilings? Can you put a full lift in? Well, I have a lift. I have a 2-post lift that has the cable run on the floor. It has that little metal track that's on the floor. So my ceilings technically are about 11 feet. Okay. And I've said it before, it's kind of hard to see in any of these clips, but there's a if you look over, maybe right there, eh, my concrete has a 6-inch curb all the way around, so that if you want to rinse out the floor, you could without getting the wood wet or the walls wet. So with that 6-inch curb, 10-foot stud, that's 10 foot 6, and then you add in inch and a half plus 3, 5.5, almost 11 feet. By the time you add the bottom plate and the double cap on top, um, almost 11 feet to the bottom of the truss. But I could put a regular car on my lift, like the Brooklyn Pony. I can walk under it. You know, um, I've had trucks on there. I'm not real excited about the truck because they take up, you lose headroom. But um, anyway, I have a lift in here. Um, Battery burnout. Drove my 72 all over the country from '87 to 2009. When I parked it, just started working on it. Barry's fault. I'd be willing to part with it. 72. You're talking about your 70, I guess a 72 coupe, because Leonard's looking for one. If it is a coupe, I don't know what you have, but Stephen Edge gives. All right, thanks for the thumbs up, Stephen. Appreciate it. Don't forget, guys, throw a thumbs up on here. It helps with the algorithms. Denny still have a company. I have a company truck to drive back and forth, and it works, so I shouldn't call it a daily driver, more or less a personal vehicle to drive at night and on the weekends. Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I'll consider driving it more often. But here's the crazy thing, and I say this, I don't do it all the time, but I'll take out the Model A. If you haven't seen my Model A, I've had videos on that as well. I'll take out the Model A, and I'll go to like the grocery store, buy groceries and throw them in it and drive home. Or I'll go to, I've gone to Lowe's before, bought a bunch of supplies and shoved it in the car, and people walk out like, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing?" I said, "I'm driving my car." So it depends on where you're at. Now, there's a big difference between daily driver and occasional driver, let's say. But Robert Adams, the Honda Element has huge cargo space, but you will want to spray lizard skin on the floor. The road noise is horrible on them. Otherwise, nice driving car. Yeah, I've actually test driven. Thanks, Steve. If they get their act together and put in charging stations, I'm thinking about the Ford Mustang Electric if I win the lottery. You know what, Leonard, I'm not against it. Honestly, I'm not. They're really making leaps and bounds with this electric stuff. Although it's really, the reality is it's more harmful to the environment to make an electric car than it is to make a gas car. And there's lots of discussion on that. People don't want to know those kind of things, but we all know that you don't just magically make these batteries and stuff. So there's a lot that goes into it. Leonard, if you haven't seen, Battery Burnout has he has a coupe for sale. So you might want to message Battery Burnout there. I don't know if you want to talk to him about his coupe. Yeah, and Robert, I've driven a couple of the Elements, and I've done my research. I mean, I've really looked these things over, and apparently the best year, you don't want to buy anything older than '07. And the reason for that is a variety of things. The airbag system is better in later models, and also the '07s were the first year for the seatbelt restraint. They had some issue with the not issue, but having the seatbelt mounted to the door frame or whatever went in the opening, getting in and out could be a conflict. But in '07, they went to the seatbelt in the seat. So I won't get anything older than an '07. And also, if you look at I think it's the SC model. The SC is kind of a sport edition, but I mean, I don't know what the SC stands for. You know how they are with their letters. But the SC it's lowered a little bit, I believe. And I think it actually has carpet in it, I think. But you're right, they are noisy, as far as road noise and stuff like that. So that's a good idea to spray in some lizard skin or something like that. But I'll probably have one at some point. I've been eyeballing one I found up in Atlanta. It's like the price is really good. It's a 2010, but it's a weird color. It's like an ice blue. So if I get that one, I think I'm going to I might Plastidip the thing. I've never done Plastidip, but I think I might have to with this one. and turn it gray or something like that just to make it more appealing. But anyway, um, let's see. Chris Thomas, awesome channel. Working on my first Resto 66 Mustang. Had since '89. Was my first car. Chris, you get a bell for that. Glad to hear that, and I'm glad to hear you still have that car and you're working on it. That's awesome. Brian, Toyota or Honda, Barry. My wife is a quality control inspector for Honda. Their QC is more tight than Mercedes. Yeah, I agree. Toyota and Honda really, I mean, they're really up there. You can't complain. I mean, I've worked on at the body shop. We worked on the Hondas and you know everything. We had all kinds of stuff in there, but the ones that I shied away from were the Nissans. They were good cars. Don't get me wrong. They were good cars, but they seem to have a lot more electrical stuff going on. So we always run into problems with the Nissan stuff. But yeah, at some point I'll get a Honda Element and enjoy it. Hopefully. Chris Thomas, thumbs up. Thank you. Chris Lambert, any tips for rolling fenders? I'm a bit too timid for the baseball bat approach. Saw some tools you can get for this. Is this something for DIY or leave it to a body shop? I'll say this. I've not done the battery or the baseball bat thing. I've seen it done. Yeah, results are mixed. But they do sell that tool. If you're really looking at doing this, they do sell that tool. I think, variety of places sell it. Summit has it. I'm sure Amazon has it, whatever, where it bolts onto the axle and then you can rotate the roller, and the beauty of that is it's based off the axle. So it's going to follow as the shape, more consistently maybe. But I'd say it's a DIY. I wouldn't say you have to, take it to a shop to do it. If you're willing to buy the kit. In fact, I think somebody bought the kit one time, used it, and they were going to send it to me or something because they're like, I'll never use this again, so I'll send it to you. But it never happened. But yeah, it's not. I'd say you can do it yourself. If you can handle using some tools, I'd say go for it. Terry, do you have to hand crank your Model 8? No, I don't. It has an electric starter. I mean, it's got a foot operated starter. It's 6 volt, but I converted everything. I converted it to 12 volt. I put an alternator in it so that I could drive it and feel better about it. But that starter is originally 6 volt. Now with a 12 volt starter, boy, that thing hums. It's quick. But it is set up. I can use a crank if I needed to, but I'll avoid that. I'll try to use the starter or catch it in gear before I'll try to use that hand crank. I've seen some bad results from using a hand crank and having some issues with it. So anyway, Heath, Chris may have my first car. Oh, have my first car since '86, '68 Mustang. That's cool. That's cool. Robert Adams, Nissan has really bad CVT transmissions as well. Daughters was replaced at 60,000. I don't expect it to last till 80,000. Yeah. I mean, there's certain models are really cool, really good cars, but we always run into electrical problems. It's like I won't own a Mercedes or an Audi or even a Volkswagen. I don't want nothing to do with those cars. They're over engineered, and you look at granted, now you still have to do stuff like a Honda. If you want to change out a headlight or whatever, you got to pull the bumper cover off or something like that. Mercedes, if you want to change the headlight, you got to pull, the doors off and take the hood off and pull the engine. It's like crazy the way they do stuff. But I'm gonna look into more of trying to get one that's Honda Elements at some point. Leonard, just a plain Jane one. My wife drove my '66 Mustang and I built and got it, and it got away from her, and I want so she can drive it. Oh, just a plain Jane one. Okay. Well, like I said, there was a battery burnout's got that coupe, but it says Mach 1 drivetrain, so I don't know. It's probably 351 Cleveland, I guess. But yeah, I mean, they're out there. You just got to look. They're out there. Okay. As it is, I've got, where am I at here? 54 viewers. That's pretty good. Now, I don't know how many I've had over the course of the night, but it's been 2 hours and 10 minutes, and my voice is starting to go. I can feel it. A lot of talking here, obviously, and the only one it's, I know that Andrew is listening while he's working on his Mustang. I'm going to assume he's still listening while he's working on his Mustang. So, Andrew, get some work done. If you haven't seen his channel, go check out Grease Rookie and see what he's up to. Doing some cool stuff on that channel as he learns. And I will say, I'm going to I'll have a video out tomorrow. Well, probably tomorrow. It's kind of late tonight. Yeah, I won't get it done, edited tonight. And not that it's a Mustang video. As I've said before, I do mechanical stuff. I've got people that watch for my brake repairs or my mechanical stuff that I've done on other cars with Toyota that I did work to the cylinder head for my son. And all right, Andrew. Hey, RC Guy Garage is here. Good. Got my thumbs up from RC Guy. Go check out his channel too. He did, if you haven't seen his channel, he does a lot of stuff with RC cars, obviously, but he also does some other things. And he did a video where he pulled a big tree out of the ground with his big, what he calls big black truck, big F250, F350. So you might want to check out his channel as well, and go see some of the stuff he's doing. And I haven't heard from Russ in a while. Double R Restoration. If you haven't seen him, go check it out. He does some cool stuff. But anyway, I'm going to put out a video tomorrow, and it's going to be replacing a pitman arm on a 96 Dodge Ram 1500. Now, not everybody's going to care about that, but it's another mechanical video that somebody can learn something from. So I show the tools and everything and how to do the process. Somebody might be able to use it for one of their projects. But anyway, that'll come out tomorrow. And I'm still going to try to work on getting the test fitting the engine, the actual engine in the Brooklyn Pony. So anyway, that's going to be it for tonight. Reese Richter listing, sorting parts. Cool. Stephen Edge 55 got my 1 year here. Got my 1 year here. She loves listening to your videos also. Okay. I guess 1 year old. I'm assuming. I'm not sure what that means, but thank you, Stephen. I'm glad you're here. Cecil, Leonard, Danny. Have a good evening, everyone. Robert Adams thought about doing videos once I figured out what buttons not to push. Okay. It was cool hanging out. Francisco. And that's going to be it. So we'll be back next time on Monday night, 7 o'clock. And hopefully I have some better things to talk about. But